Welcome to the Rare Historical Memories channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this one.
March, Paris, 1935. A woman with a candle views stacked skulls in the catacombs. The visit records public access to ossuaries and how Paris organized burial space and memory beneath crowded streets. A newsboy raises Titanic headlines. Bystanders stop, read, and absorb the loss. The scene documents early 20th century news distribution and public reception of a major maritime disaster. Inside a secured arsenal, prototype grenades remain classified. Engineers tested fuses and fillers without field issue. The program illustrates wartime research workflows and the hidden competition shaping later munition standards. Levittown, August 16, 1957. Residents gather outside the Myers home to oppose black neighbors. News cameras record the confrontation, exposing suburban resistance to integration during the post-war housing boom. Budapest, 1920. A lesbian couple poses for a wedding portrait, one in a suit, one in a gown. The image documents private commitment and the legal social limits on same-sex partnership at the time. 1918. A concrete statue of Robespierre is erected and fails within 3 days. Reports cite collapse or sabotage. The incident highlights material problems and political contention around early Soviet monuments. A 1918 photograph shows an opium gathering in a private room. Participants quietly share pipes. The record illustrates continued consumption networks despite regulation during unsettled post-war years. June 1944, near the Marianas. A Japanese aircraft is shot down attacking escort carrier USS Kitkun Bay. The frame demonstrates hazards of carrier operations and the importance of rapid anti-air defense. Germany, 1930s. Hans Bellmer assembles photo collages from articulated doll parts. The work challenged official aesthetics and spurred scrutiny and debates on sexuality, control, and representation. 1956. The Miss Correct Posture Contest evaluates entrance by appearance and spinal X-rays. Physicians score alignment alongside presentation. The event reflects mid-century attempts to merge pageantry with clinical measurement. United States, 1930. The Hunter brothers inspect their engine in flight during a 23-day endurance attempt using aerial refueling. The record expanded aviation concepts and shaped public expectations about range and reliability. Algeria, 1962. A wounded fighter collapses into a priest's arms during the Independence War's final phase. The image documents battlefield caregiving and the moral roles civilians and clergy assumed amid irregular conflict. Detroit, 1896. Henry Ford drives the quadricycle on its first run, testing steering, frame, and lightweight engine. The trial marks the beginning of Ford's career and early American experimentation with motor transport. France, 1914. Officers dance the first officially permitted tango, following updated regulations for social events. The scene contrasts Germany's contemporary restrictions and illustrates cultural openness before Europe entered the First World War. United States, 1940. Bodybuilder Patricia O'Keefe reportedly carries a man triple her weight during a demonstration. The publicity event highlights women's strength training and early recognition of female athletes in sport. Paris, June 1940. German soldiers look toward the Eiffel Tower after entering the city during the campaign. The photograph symbolizes France's capitulation and documents occupation authorities' presence at prominent national landmarks. Off Kyushu, May 1945. Two kamikazes strike USS Bunker Hill within seconds, igniting fires and heavy casualties. The damage illustrates late war risks to carriers and the cost of defending operations near Japan. France, 1941. A German soldier plows fields alongside French peasants using a captured Renault UE Tanquette converted for towing. The image records occupation improvisation and redirection of military equipment into agricultural labor. Soviet Union, 1941-1945. Life photographer Margaret Burke-White documents factories, defenses, and front lines under restriction. Her assignments demonstrate women's leadership in war photojournalism and provide records of industrial capacity and civilian mobilization. Luzon, 1875. A woman poses in traditional attire during a studio sitting. The portrait preserves 19th century Filipino identity under Spanish rule and offers early documentation of regional dress and social presentation. United States, UK, 1966. Raquel Welch headlines, 1 million years BC. Her publicity stills circulating worldwide. The role consolidated her marketability and defined a star image that shaped late 1960s studio promotion. London, 1938. An urban skiing lesson provides city residents with technique and balance drills. The activity indicates Britain's growing interest in winter sports immediately before international tensions curtailed leisure and travel. RSFSR, 1918. A photograph from inside an armored train records crew positions, weapons mounts, and communications gear. The image documents mobile firepower supporting Civil War fronts and the logistical role rail corridors played. Western Front, 1917. A British tank crosses a trench during operations. The demonstration shows mechanized capability to breach fortified lines and signals tactical changes influencing combined arms doctrine through the 20th century. Cape Chersonese, 1944. Piles of abandoned helmets remain after retreating forces. The site records the end of occupation in Sevastopol's approaches and subsequent work of battlefield clearance and identification. Tehran, 1979. Women march against compulsory hijab during the revolutionary transition, chanting for freedom of choice. The demonstration documents early public dissent and the centrality of women's rights in policy debates. Louisiana, 1938. A father poses with his wife and 13 children during the Depression era. The portrait illustrates rural household size, economic strain, and community resilience under limited wages and agricultural volatility. United States, 1909. Women cotton mill workers stand for a studio portrait after a shift. The image documents labor composition, fatigue indicators, and conditions informing later reforms in hours, safety, and wages. Europe, 1914-1918. Algerian soldiers serve on the Western Front within French colonial units. Their presence demonstrates imperial mobilization, multinational formations, and global resources required for prolonged industrial war. Kingdom of Italy, 1910. Mountain guides assist a wealthy visitor toward Vesuvius along established paths and chairs. The ascent illustrates period tourism practices and prevailing class and safety norms on volcanic excursions. Levittown, Long Island, 1948. Developers build standardized houses for returning veterans using assembly line methods and federal-backed mortgages. The project exemplifies post-war prosperity, mass homeownership, and the spread of American suburban life. United States, 1950s. Bunny Yeager poses as a model while producing and lighting her own photographs. Her assignments expand pinup conventions and establish women's technical and creative leadership behind the camera. Venice Beach, California, June 1934. Women play beach volleyball while standing on stilts during a public exhibition. The game illustrates coastal recreation, novelty sports, and community events drawing spectators during the interwar leisure boom. Paris, 1947. Visitors climb the steps of Montmartre during the city's recovery period. The scene documents post-war movement of residents and tourists, and the neighborhood's continued role in arts, worship, and daily urban life. Valparaiso, November 1914. Vice Admiral von Spee's squadron departs after victory at Coronel. Logistics and coal limits remain crucial. 1 month later, the force is destroyed at the Falklands, ending Germany's Pacific presence. Aachen, October 1944. German prisoners march through ruined streets after capture by U.S. forces. The procession marks the fall of the first major German city and shows immediate security measures behind advancing lines. Los Angeles, July 1956. Mamie Van Doren poses on her rooftop for a promotional shoot. The session supports studio marketing and illustrates mid-century celebrity imagery produced outside controlled sets and sound stages. United States, Canada, 19th century. Anna Haining Bates and Martin Bates appear at exhibitions as exceptionally tall spouses. Their appearances document medical curiosity shows and public interest in extraordinary stature. Europe, late 19th century. Passengers ride a first-class Victorian train compartment with upholstered seats and mirrors. The interior documents period rail comfort standards and practices of long-distance elite travel. Amsterdam, 1973. Car-free Sundays restrict automobiles during the oil crisis. Some residents ride horses through city streets. The policy illustrates emergency conservation measures and short-term adaptations in urban mobility. United States, 1956. Audrey Hepburn poses in a ballet sequence for a studio assignment. The images codify post-war Hollywood's ideal of feminine artistry and sustain her marketability across fashion, film publicity, and magazines. United States, 1922. Young women paint watch numerals with radium, often tipping brushes by mouth. Subsequent illnesses and deaths establish landmark cases reshaping industrial safety standards and compensation for radiation exposure. New York, February 20th, 1939. The German-American Bund rallies at Madison Square Garden under Nazi symbols before thousands. The event exposes pre-war extremism, policing choices, and First Amendment debates in American politics. Manzanar, California, July 3, 1942. A dust storm sweeps the War Relocation Center, confining Japanese Americans. The photograph documents harsh camp conditions and civil liberties consequences of wartime incarceration policies. United States, 1865. A photographer operates a large wooden camera, composing a studio portrait. The scene records wet plate workflow, equipment scale, and professional practices in late Civil War era image making. California, 1944. Worker Sally Wadsworth helps assemble P-38 Lightning fighters on the production line. Her role represents wartime labor mobilization and women's skilled participation in U.S. aviation manufacturing. New York, August 24, 1925. Jolly Marie, weighing approximately 620 pounds, wins the Big Girls contest at Luna Park, earning $25 and a season ticket. The event reflects amusement park promotions and period body culture. Earth orbit, 1966. Astronaut Edwin E. Aldrin Jr. photographs himself during Gemini 12 operations. The image becomes an early space self-portrait, advancing public engagement with human spaceflight and documenting EVA techniques. East Berlin, 1987. Children parade with GDR-made computers during a civic demonstration. The display represents technological pride and educational ambitions, while indicating production limits within socialist industry. South Asia, 1945. An elephant hauls American aircraft components during wartime transport. The scene documents local logistics supporting Allied aviation and practical blending of animal labor with modern equipment. New York, 1914. American nurses board the SS Red Cross, bound for Europe. The departure illustrates organized medical relief, civilian mobilization, and U.S. humanitarian commitments during the opening months of World War I. United States, circa 1920. Sergeant Stubby appears in uniform displaying service badges earned in France. The portrait records a decorated war dog and highlights recognition of animal contributions to morale and duty. United States, 1961. Families purchase private fallout shelters amid Cold War tension. The practice demonstrates consumer responses to nuclear risk and the intersection of civil defense guidance with home building and retail markets. Paris, 1919. Pilot Charles Godefroy flies a biplane through the Arc de Triomphe following demobilization parades. The feat honored airmen and underscored pilot skill, public risk, and evolving urban air regulations. Montéglise, August 10, 1944. U.S. soldiers of the 2nd Armored Division gather around a piano and sing in a liberated town. The moment documents unit cohesion and civilian-military contact during Normandy operations. Scotland, 1882-1890. Photographs track Forth Bridge construction across the Firth of Forth. The record documents cantilever methods, large-scale steelwork, and a landmark project shaping industrial engineering and national infrastructure. Washington, March 4, 1865. John Wilkes Booth stands on the inaugural platform during President Lincoln's second oath. The image situates the later assassin within public ceremonies shortly before the killing at Ford's Theater. British Columbia, 1916. The fishing vessel New England becomes trapped in heavy sea ice during transit. The photograph records navigation hazards on northern routes and seasonal limits facing small commercial craft. Sheffield, April 15, 1989. The Hillsborough disaster during the FA Cup semi-final results in 97 deaths and hundreds injured. The tragedy prompted enduring reforms in stadium safety, crowd management, and policing practices. Buenos Aires, 1938. A photograph records a Nazi rally with banners and organized attendees. The image shows fascist networks operating in Argentina and documents pre-war political alignment beyond Europe. Spain, Mexico, early 1980s. Sven Ole Thorsen and Arnold Schwarzenegger appear together on the Conan the Barbarian set. Their collaboration illustrates stunt coordination, bodybuilder casting, and production choices shaping a cult fantasy film. United States, 1945. A soldier returns and embraces his daughter after demobilization. The photograph documents reunion, relief, and personal costs borne by families during and immediately after World War II. Boston, circa 1860. James Wallace Black photographs the city from a balloon at about 2,000 feet. The plate is the oldest surviving aerial photo, preserving urban views once lost in earlier attempts. New York Harbor, October 1945. A liner arrives crowded with returning U.S. troops from the Pacific. The scene records demobilization, transport logistics, and public welcome during immediate post-war transitions. Ryukyu Islands, March 27, 1945. USS LSM-R-190 fires rockets at Tokishishima ahead of Okinawa operations. The vessel is sunk by kamikazes on May 4th. The record shows pre-landing bombardment and later vulnerabilities. Yukon, Alaska, 1898. Gold miners dig through frozen ground using picks, boilers, and sluices during the Klondike Rush. The image documents labor conditions, migration pressures, and environmental impact around frontier extraction. Pacific Theater, 1942-1943. Pilot Nobuo Fujita stands beside a Yokosuka E-14Y Glenn seaplane used for reconnaissance over U.S. territory. The photograph records rare long-range scouting from submarine-launched aircraft. Paris, 1926. André Kertész photographs rooftops in the Latin Quarter, emphasizing chimneys, terraces, and street patterns. The work demonstrates modernist framing and turns ordinary architecture into structured urban study. Normandy, June 6, 1944. U.S. 4th Infantry Division lands at Utah Beach with support from the 70th Tank Battalion and airborne units. The landing documents coordinated assault elements on D-Day's western beaches. New York, March 26, 1840. John W. Draper photographs the moon from New York University using a daguerreotype process. The plate marks early collaboration between astronomy and photography for lunar imaging. Colorado Springs, 1899. Nikola Tesla stands at his laboratory doorway during high-voltage experiments and wireless power tests. The photograph documents research influencing electrical engineering concepts and public understanding of alternating current. Stalingrad, 1943. Horses of the German 6th Army are slaughtered for food during the siege. The record shows extreme supply shortages and survival measures amid urban combat and encirclement. France, 1914-1918. Unexploded German shells remain in a trench sector after fighting. The scene documents residual battlefield hazards and long-term risks posed by industrial munitions to soldiers and later clearance teams. United States, 1945. A Japanese-American family returns from internment to find their home vandalized. The event records post-war discrimination and civil rights consequences of wartime incarceration policies. Soviet territory, 1941. German troops dismantle a large statue of Joseph Stalin during Operation Barbarossa. The photograph documents occupation practices, targeting political symbols, and the propaganda value of public monuments. United States, late 19th century. Annie Jones appears in Barnum's shows as the bearded lady. Her career records Victorian exhibition culture and public curiosity about physical difference within commercial entertainment. France, July 14, 1918. American pilot Quentin Roosevelt is killed in combat and buried by German soldiers with military honors. The case illustrates frontline customs regarding fallen enemies during World War I. Moon, July 20th, 1969. Neil Armstrong steps from the lunar module and conducts surface tasks. The images document initial human lunar activity and operational procedures supporting Apollo's exploration goals. Finland-Soviet Front, 1941. A Finnish sniper operates in winter conditions during World War II. The photograph highlights marksmanship, camouflage, and small unit tactics associated with Finland's defensive operations. Germany, 1945. A 16-year-old soldier weeps after capture by U.S. forces. The photograph documents late-war conscription of youth and the personal consequences of Nazi Germany's final mobilization. Brazil, 1880. A girl poses beside her enslaved maid during the empire's final decade of slavery. The image records household hierarchy and legal reality shortly before abolition in 1888. Cottbus, East Germany, 1975. A MiG-21 crashes into a Plattenbau apartment block during flight operations. The incident enters Cold War aviation records and illustrates urban risk near military air corridors. Netherlands, 1926. L. Death develops a handcart transportable emergency bridge for rapid local deployment. The device demonstrates interwar engineering aimed at improving mobility across damaged or rural crossings. United States, 1970. A Boeing 747 economy cabin shows wide seating bays and period color schemes. The interior documents early wide-body standards and passenger expectations when long-haul flying emphasize space and service. Kaliningrad, 1969. The Soviet Electron robot waves and pours drinks at a public demonstration. The exhibit reflects technological showpieces and popular confidence in automation during the Cold War. Mesopotamia, 1918. Soldiers wear gas masks during operations against chemical agents. The photograph records protective equipment and changing hazards of industrialized warfare in the First World War. United States, 1902. Dr. George Henry Fox photographed severe smallpox manifestations for medical reference. The plate preserves clinical evidence from an era before widespread vaccination reduced incidence. United States, 1927. Marcia Pinkenfield wins a national Most Beautiful Child contest after press coverage and judging. The result reflects period standards in child pageantry and media-driven celebrity. London, 1939. A shopkeeper posts "No dog biscuits today" as shortages begin. A girl stands with her dog. The scene records early rationing effects and civilian adjustments to supply controls. Netherlands, 1930s. A smiling athlete holds a portrait of Adolf Hitler at a competition. The photograph illustrates political penetration of sports and normalization of authoritarian symbols in pre-war public events. Austria, 1930s. A Jewish woman sits on a bench labeled "Only for Jews" under segregation rules. The image documents legal discrimination, public humiliation, and endurance amid anti-Semitic policies. New York City, 1922. Officials install one of the city's early traffic signals at a major intersection. The device marks modernization of street management and adaptation to increasing automobile volumes and pedestrian safety needs. Korea, 1953. A mother embraces her son freed from a POW camp after the armistice. The photograph records reunion, relief, and human costs carried by families during the Korean War. Sicily, August 9, 1943. Private Roy Humphrey receives blood plasma from PFC Harvey White after shrapnel wounds. The treatment demonstrates frontline transfusion procedures and life-saving battlefield medicine in Allied operations. Normandy, June 6, 1944. U.S. soldiers in an LCVP approach Omaha Beach under assault orders. The photograph records pre-landing anticipation and coordination required for amphibious operations on D-Day. Western Front, 1917, 1918. Carrier pigeons relay messages from British tanks using onboard lofts and dispatch tubes. The practice illustrates early mechanized communications before reliable radios reached armored units. Sudetenland, October 1938. A Hitler Youth member replaces Thomas Masaryk Street with Adolf Hitler Street. The act documents annexation procedures and symbolic erasure of Czechoslovak identity under German occupation. July 7, 1865, 4 conspirators in Lincoln's assassination, including Mary Surratt, were executed in Washington. The hanging was documented in one of America's earliest crime photographs. France, 1934. An unknown engineer designed an extensible caravan built from aluminum panels. The experimental vehicle reflected interwar fascination with mobile living and aerodynamic innovation. Normandy, July 21, 1944. U.S. soldiers of the 331st Infantry Regiment ran for cover through enemy fire near Perrier. The photo captured a split second of the Allied advance in France. Belgium, winter, 1944. U.S. First Army troops move through the snow-covered Krinkelter Woods. The image documents their tense advance during the opening days of the Battle of the Bulge. A German soldier sits in a trench reading a magazine during a lull on the front. Simple diversions like newspapers and letters helped maintain morale amid the hardships of war. Pennsylvania, 1911. Boys worked long hours in coal breakers, sorting anthracite by hand. The photograph exposed the harsh realities of child labor in early industrial America. Liverpool, 1907. Public health officers measured alley widths and drainage for official reports. Their surveys marked the rise of modern urban planning in industrial Britain. Ottoman Empire, 1870. Bashi Bazouk irregulars posed for a formal portrait. These mercenary fighters reflected the empire's reliance on non-regular troops during its late reforms and decline. Secunderabad, 1858. British forces occupied the city following the Indian Rebellion of 1857. The ruins and deserted streets reveal the lasting impact of the uprising across colonial India. Japan, 1945. Civilians displaced by Allied bombings built shelters from abandoned buses and scrap metal. The image documents post-war resilience amid the ruins of a nation's destruction. Beverly Hills, 1953. Marilyn Monroe posed poolside at Harold Lloyd's Green Acres estate. Captured by Lloyd himself, the session preserved her at the height of Hollywood's glamour era. Oklahoma, 1948. George W. McLaurin studied alone, segregated from his white peers by law. His quiet presence in class helped challenge America's system of educational segregation. New York, 1883. Socialite. Kate Fearing Strong attended the Vanderbilt Ball in a cat-themed costume. The extravagant event symbolized the wealth and excess of America's Gilded Age elite. Upper Silesia, 1921. Polish insurgents derailed a German train during the Third Silesian Uprising. The act reflected fierce resistance amid post-war border conflicts in Central Europe. Los Angeles, June 1943. U.S. sailors attacked Mexican-American youths wearing zoot suits. The violent clashes exposed deep racial tensions on the American home front during World War II. Italy, 1944. Soldiers of the 503rd Parachute Ski Battalion rested in snowbound camps after Alpine marches. The rare unit combined parachuting and ski warfare training for mountain operations. London, 1966. City inspectors called listeners used ear-tipped rods to detect underground pipe leaks. Their work illustrates the precision of pre-digital maintenance in mid-century Britain. France, August 4, 1944. An RAF Lancaster of No. 514 Squadron bombed the Becdamb oil depot near Bordeaux. The raid crippled German fuel supplies during the Allied push through France. London, 1900. A tiny shoe shop operated from the window of a soda stand. Shoppers could try on shoes, then step next door for lemonade, a glimpse of creative urban commerce. Soviet Union, 1941. The massive 5-turreted T-35 tank lay silent after capture. Once a symbol of Soviet might, it now illustrated the vulnerability of pre-war engineering ambition. London, 1877, Covent Garden porters carried baskets through crowded market lanes. Their labor reflected the rhythm of Victorian commerce and the endurance of Britain's urban working class. London, 1940, during the Blitz, civilians sheltered in underground stations. Aldwych Station was permanently converted, fitted with bunks and lighting to withstand continued V-1 and V-2 raids. Geneva, 1933, Joseph Goebbels was photographed glaring at a journalist who questioned Nazi policy. The image froze a moment of confrontation at the dawn of Germany's propaganda era. New York, 1939. Madison Square Garden hosted a pro-Nazi rally attended by over 20,000 people. Beneath American flags, the event revealed domestic extremist sympathies before World War II. New York, 1907. Engineers unveiled the Iron Man diving suit, equipped with electric lamps and pressure joints. The prototype represented a milestone in the early development of deep-sea technology. Strasbourg, 1944. 2 days after liberation, a French woman greeted an American soldier in the street. The photograph reflected the relief and renewal following years of occupation. Aboard HMAS Encounter, early 1900s, the ship's cat peered from a 6-inch gun barrel. Naval crews often kept animals as mascots, offering companionship during long voyages at sea. Capri, 1908. Vladimir Lenin played chess with writer Maxim Gorky during exile in Italy. The meeting symbolized the exchange between revolutionary politics and Russian intellectual circles. New York, 1967. Teenager Sigourney Weaver wrote in her school yearbook, "Please God, don't let me be normal." The entry foreshadowed her rise as one of cinema's most unconventional icons. Early 20th century, before jetways and security lines, travelers boarded graceful airships for transcontinental flights. These lighter-than-air vessels embodied the elegance and daring spirit of early aviation. Antwerp, November 11, 1918. Crowds filled the streets within hours of the armistice. Bells rang across the city as World War I's long silence finally began. Berlin, March 1930. The funeral of Nazi activist Horst Wessel drew massive crowds. His death was quickly appropriated by propaganda, transforming him into a martyr within the party's mythology. Manila, 1901. An execution by garrote took place inside Bilibid prison. The colonial-era method reflected American military control during the early years of occupation in the Philippines. Yosemite, 1900. U.S. cavalrymen posed beside the ancient sequoia known as the Grizzly Giant. More than a century later, the towering tree still stands in California's Mariposa Grove. Valenciennes, 1915. German troops employed an elephant borrowed from Hamburg Zoo to haul timber. The scene illustrates how wartime shortages forced reliance on animal strength over machinery. Montgomery, 1961, civil rights activist James Zwerg was beaten during a Freedom Ride protest. His injuries, photographed after hours without aid, became evidence of segregation's brutality in America. Hamburg, 1958. 17-year-old Bianca Passarge performed a dance atop bottles dressed as a cat. Her unusual act, practiced daily, reflected the creativity of post-war German cabaret culture. Iran, 1979. Months before the Islamic Revolution, beaches in the Caspian region thrived with Western leisure. These photographs capture the final summer of a rapidly changing nation. France, September 29, 1918. Britain's 46th Division captured Riqueval Bridge across the Saint-Quentin Canal. The assault breached the Hindenburg Line, marking a decisive Allied victory in World War I. Germany, 1945. Concentration camp prisoners raised the American flag during liberation. The scene symbolized the end of Nazi rule and the survival of those who endured years of captivity. Hungary, 1939. As troops entered a border town, smiling locals offered flowers. The gesture reflected shifting alliances and fragile optimism on the eve of World War II. Nevada, mid-1950s. Mannequins stood in model houses at atomic test sites. Their scorched remains provided data on radiation and blast impact for Cold War defense research. Indonesia, 1965. Accused men sat awaiting execution during the anti-communist purge. Thousands were killed without trial amid one of Southeast Asia's darkest political crackdowns. Vistula Front, 1916. German machine gunners fired from trenches against advancing Russian forces. The Eastern Front's attrition warfare revealed the immense human cost of industrial-era conflict. Vietnam, 1970. An African-American U.S. soldier read a captured Viet Cong leaflet condemning racial injustice. The message exposed contradictions between America's war abroad and its struggles at home. Lubang Island, Philippines. Hiru Onoda surrendered in 1974, nearly 30 years after World War II ended. The loyal Japanese officer had continued reconnaissance, unaware peace had long returned. New York, 1930. Photographer Louis Hine captured a worker suspended above Manhattan during Empire State Building's construction. The daring image, later titled Icarus, defined the era's industrial courage. Ostend, 1914. Townspeople watched a British airship drift silently above the harbor. The sight marked the arrival of aerial warfare in Europe's first modern conflict. Pacific Ocean, 1942. Sailors lined up aboard a U.S. cruiser to receive their pay envelopes. Routine moments like this persisted even amid the uncertainty of global war. Moscow, July 19, 1980. The Voditorn Summer Olympics opened with massive choreography and symbolism. The spectacle blended athletic pride with Cold War politics on an unforgettable world stage. Kiev, 1942. Nazi death squads executed Jews near Ivanograd during occupation. The photograph showing 3 raised rifles remains one of the stark records of Holocaust atrocities in Ukraine. Egypt, 1864. Visiting Japanese samurai posed before the Great Sphinx at Giza. The rare photograph captured an unlikely meeting of Eastern warriors and ancient Western civilization. New York, 1889. Italian immigrants crowded an illegal boarding house on the Lower East Side. The image reflects the poverty and overcrowding faced by newcomers pursuing the American dream. California, 1942. Women at Douglas Aircraft molded plexiglass canopies for warplanes. Their skilled labor symbolized the industrial effort and expanding role of women during World War II. Elmira, 1903, Mark Twain stood with John T. Lewis at Quarry Farm. Lewis, a lifelong friend, is believed to have inspired the character Jim in Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.